Back again. Here we are. So I guess today, like the other times, I'm going to be talking about TV shows. But this time, Impractical Jokers. If you don't know what they are, they used to be four friends who competed to embarrass each other in the most ridiculous ways. And in the most ridiculous ways, they were. They had four people: Sal, Joe, Murr, and Q. But now, it's just without Joe. It's not the same without Joe. I haven't watched it since without Joe. If I watch an episode and if it's without Joe, I just turn it off. If I'm gonna be honest with you, he's just an iconic member. Think about like a character on a TV show, like your favorite TV show, and then an iconic member of the cast, they just leave. What's the point of watching it? Sure, they have guest hosts, but what's the point? So mostly, what they do, they have to do what the other guys tell them, or else they will get points taken off of them, and which means like if they lose, they're going to be punished even more at the end. And those punishments are embarrassing as hell. For example, one of them, if I remember correctly, Q was handcuffed to a mime for 24 hours, all the way from for 24 hours. But Sal, he's the one who lost the most, according to what I saw. That was like an Reddit forum from 2021. It's probably a lot more than that though. In the order of what I saw in that forum, I saw, or on that Reddit post I saw, it was in this order. It was Sal, Murr, Q, and Joe. And to be honest, it was almost every episode that you saw Q or Murr being the big loser at the end of the episode. What does this mean? Basically, like I said, punishments, embarrassment. You have to be good people. Like you have to be good at talking to people in order to succeed on the show. Which is how they succeeded. Yeah, basically, Impractical Jokers is basically a funny show. It was on True TV, but now from now what I hear is on TBS. But this mean wait, yeah. Joe is basically was the oldest one in the group. Sal is the funniest one, in my opinion. He has the most famous lines. One of my favorites is Tonka Jahari and how he couldn't order a whole pizza for himself, and how he would order a whole pizza for himself, but he would never eat it by himself. Or if what they do sometimes is where they film is either in public, in malls, or even in focus groups. It could be anything from what I saw recently, like a rerun last night or the other night. It was drinking someone else's drink with a ridiculous straw. But most of them is doing what the other people tell them without, basically most of it is just do what the other person tells them without saying no. And if they say no, they lose. Now, if you notice, or if you even watched the show, some of the episodes have two big losers, or even three. It's more likely that it's two rather than three. All I remember from the top of my head is that there were two. One of them was Joe was not the big loser, so he basically put them how to be a father and how to be a parent because he's the only parent in the group. And the other one was when Q wasn't the biggest loser. He basically put everyone through Fighter Academy. One of the funniest ones, in my opinion, one of the funniest punishments is when Sal had to yell bingo, in a room full of old people playing bingo professionally. Why would this be bad, you ask? Think about this. You're playing bingo. You're an old person playing bingo, and then just some person yells bingo after every single turn. Like if it's O46 or B12, and then it's just bingo, bingo, bingo. It gets annoying after a while, and everyone starts to riot against them. And the thing is, he cannot say no, or else they actually agreed that they cannot say no to punishments. They have to do it. The closest they said this when they when one of the punishments for Murr was skydiving, which is like his least favorite thing in the world, I think. And basically, they said either you do it or you just leave the show. And they basically they had to do he had to do it. Otherwise, he would leave the show. Yeah, basically everything on True TV right now, if you watch cable or something, if you even still watch cable, is Impractical Jokers. Rerun after rerun after rerun. There's like where there's one like inside jokes where there's like post-it notes, like transition things that adds like different notes about the episode that you didn't get to see. So yeah, the big punishments at the end, they can get embarrassing. Basically, imagine I'm not going to get too much into detail, but imagine a medical procedure in the middle of an audience. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to get too in detail with that. Think about that though. You cannot say no to a medical procedure that's embarrassing in front of people. But one of the most tame ones, in my opinion, is just I remember like I was watching a 3-hour video of the big punishments. One of the most tame ones, in my opinion, was when Q just had to say no to whatever the person he was talking to was asking, like marriage proposals. Yeah, it was like a marriage proposal with a baseball field full of people, unsuspecting. Oh yeah, and half the time, whenever there's a punishment, the people running the place are aware of it, but not the people that are actually participating in it. Otherwise, because think about it, if you didn't get the approval of them, you would not be able to film inside. It also amazes me how sometimes they don't get arrested, or yeah, it amazes me sometimes how they don't get arrested. Because because they can't get arrested, otherwise they would probably lose the rights to their show. Basically, though, there's also like try not to laughs where like the 4 guys are sitting in a waiting room of sorts, and the last person to laugh wins, and everyone who laughs gets a point, and whoever gets the most points at the end of the episode, like I keep saying, is the big loser. There's always an announcer announcing everything at the end, like, and there's also kind of jokes like, if I remember correctly, Sal is tonight's big loser, or like before he says, Sal couldn't get his hands dirty, so that makes him tonight's big loser. And then it just goes into transition of basically, like I said, big punishments. Oh yeah, basically Sal's like a germaphobe and he hates anything to do with cats and garbage. So basically a funny one is basically whenever he had to dig through garbage to get his phone, but basically a garbage truck ship, but the ship was essentially running away with him on it. They mostly film in New York City, sometimes in New Jersey, sometimes in like the Palisades Mall, but mostly in public, like I see mostly in like a lot in Central Park. They also have to have film permits and stuff, which obviously they have to get beforehand. And they also have to, and also if you watch the show, you notice that some of the people's faces are blurred, some of them are not, and it all depends on if they want to sign a waiver that they want to be on TV, because it's all about privacy. If you don't respect privacy, you don't make a good show. Now this is unlike Eric Andre's street skits, which are like the big punishments, but like miles different. Basically creating a public nuisance. If you were basically Eric Andre doing his skits, you would get arrested. Not just like punishments, actually arrested. But there's probably like you have to inform the police that you're going to do this stuff, and then yeah. So yeah, you should watch Impractical Jokers. I'm pretty sure it's streaming on anywhere, maybe Netflix, Hulu. Yeah, basically Q was a fireman beforehand, and it's basically like an inside joke. Q was basically the fat guy. If there's a famous picture of him, like when he was fat and a lot younger, Honestly, fun fact, that's like I like to use that profile picture as my own. Anyway, Joe is the father and oldest of the group. He recently left the group for personal issues. He like recently got a divorce with his wife, but from what I hear, he got like re-engaged, not like re-engaged, but like together again. And with the group, he's not like against them. He just left. He just left. He's not like he doesn't see them as like ex friends. They're still like very close friends. They've met since like high school in Staten Island. Basically, anyone who watches cable probably might have seen four people. Even the beginning, there's like it's interesting. Like they give a preview of the episode, like what's gonna happen, and they don't spoil the big punishment at the end. Unlike inside jokes, which actually just say spoiler. It's insert name of Joker here. So what was I saying? All right, in the intro, they always say this one line. Warning: the following program contains scenes of graphic stupidity among four lifelong friends who compete to embarrass each other. And that's pretty much the whole focus of the entire show. It's not like any other show. It's not like a reality show. It's not like a soap opera. It's not like a I don't even know how to describe it. It's like you film in public, creating a public nuisance. And that's the best I can describe it, maybe. The closest thing I could probably say to it, to compare it, is other things that you get to film in the street. Kind of like a YouTube prank show if it was actually good. Yeah, definitely a YouTube prank show if it was good. Most YouTube pranks are not good at all. I mean, but that's a different story for a different day. Mostly the big punishments are like pranks, like I said. For one of them, Sal just like had to keep getting his phone rang, and he couldn't answer it. And people were getting upset to the point where they actually took his phone away. Similar with so as I was saying, like with James Murray, the bald guy, he's got some weird punishments, like shaving his eyebrows and having to get a new DMV license photo. Like I said, the medical procedure in front of many people. Also, one of a tame one, in my opinion, if there are tame ones, is he had to get Novocaine in his gums, and give a presentation on food around the world. And he was like slurring his speeches. His mouth was numb, so obviously he couldn't taste anything, and he couldn't speak properly. Again, like I said, that's pretty much a tame one, but if you could even count that as tame. But the most iconic one. Also, before I wrap it up, I'm just gonna say it took a couple of seasons for it to actually get to where it was like in the heyday. Like nowadays it's like 2 or 3 acts and then it's a big punishment. But then it was like also it's like the big punishment is like 10 minutes long. But back in the day it was like 4 or 5 mini segments and then the punishment was like 2 minutes long. So if the punishment is 2 minutes long, what's the point of even enjoying the show? So yeah, 4 guys, but now 3 guys with guest hosts embarrass themselves for entertainment, and it is entertaining. Even if they have to notify the police beforehand so that they don't break any laws, because sometimes it could be kind of just harassment, but depending on who you ask, it could be kind of just harassment. So yeah, Impractical Jokers, you should watch it. That's all I gotta say. I think. Anyway, hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time.